Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Plamatea Guts Berserker Armor version by Max Factory. Of course, this right here is Guts in the Berserker Armor, just like it says on the box, from the manga Berserk, the greatest dark fantasy anything of all time. Now, just in case you're not familiar with what Plamatea actually is, I'm just going to break that down really quickly. This is a killer plastic model. It is so good, and it has blown my mind. This is my first time ever taking a look at Plamatea, and again, what is Plamatea? Now, this is a model kit by Max Factory, and Max Factory do have quite a few different model kit lines out there. They've got Modoroid. Wait a minute, Modoroid I think is by Good Smile Company. Actually, the overlap of Good Smile Company and Max Factory always confuses me. Modoroid seems to be mainly robots. I think it's Good Smile Company. Plamatea is Max Factory, and it seems to be plastic model kits that resembles action figures, mainly with an anime kind of look. So I thought it was robots and anime figures, and then I remembered there's also Plamax as well. So I actually don't realize where things overlap or whatever, so I guess it really doesn't matter. Explanation is void. Void. Get it? Void? It's void. Anyway, what truly matters is this is an absolutely ridiculously cool model kit. If you want one, you can get yours exactly where I got mine, and that is through Buyee. But for now, let's get this thing built because it is absolutely incredible and not what I expected at all. So when it does come to the unboxing of the Plamatea Guts right here, inside of the box this is fully packed with plastic. It is packed to the brim. Now the plastic in general does look all black at first, but there is some subtle differentiations between the colors. Mainly we do have black and an almost black quasi-metallic gunmetal, which is for the mainly armored parts. So you've got kind of your clothy parts underneath in black for the joints, and your gunmetal armor on the outside. On top of that, there is some unique aspects in here as well. Plamatea, just like we would have seen with some Modoroid kits, does have some painted parts. Definitely something that does set it apart from something like Bandai's Gunpla plastic model kits. The blade of the sword as well as the eyes on the helmet are pre-painted inside of the box. As for the cutout and build, this is your standard plastic model kit affair. Now this, I'm not sure what plastic it's made out of. It does say on the side that it's PVC and ABS, and it does kind of feel like that. This has that rubbery feel of ABS, not like the polystyrene we'd usually see on something like a Gundam model kit. So it is a little bit squishier, cuts out softer, and doesn't really leave any nubs, but it is a little bit harder to kind of file and a little more difficult to paint if you do want to paint it. The instructions in here are very clear. The overall build is quite straightforward, and you do need glue for a couple of parts on the arms, but overall, because it is a figure style kit, I would recommend gluing, or should I say cementing, anything that doesn't move. But I will just say I have this built already right now at this point in time. I only glued the arms and nothing does feel loose or anything, so it's a good build out of box. When it comes to the leg on this kit, what you mainly do is you build the joints. Like the hip joint is just 3 sections like we normally see in a hip joint, but with a nice ball joint that will attach into the upper leg later on to give you a little bit of hip movement. This builds up in the usual way of joints attached together, inner sections of the limbs like the upper leg and lower leg just attached together as 2 separate parts, and then you layer on the armor over the top of it. Now, one thing I will mention about the kit is there is some noticeable seam lines in some areas. It's mainly on the back of the legs, but when you're actually building the front, the armor does layer on nicely over in a kind of crisscross pattern, which covers up any of the seam lines around front. The foot has a lot of simple little aspects which attach together in a really intelligent kind of way that in the end actually nets you some fantastic articulation. It's simple in its design, but it functions so well in the end. So I will mention at this point, if you don't actually watch my videos that often, I do actually build kits from the ground up, the legs first, so I'm not really following the instructions per se. So next up, it means we're onto the waist. This does follow the usual kind of action figure model kit kind of template of you've got your lower abdomen joint and then 2 hip joints that attach into the actual waist section. Then you've got a front and back to the underpants and 2 butt flaps that attach onto the cheeks. Again, everything is fairly simple and standard as we move onto the body. You've got your internal structure, which is for the torso joint, as well as a part of the neck, and then you've got 2 little sections that attach on from above, which will be the shoulder joints. Then the rear armor, front armor, and 2 side armor sections just attach on top of it. That is the torso. It's just as simple as it needs to be, and no more over the top. Moving down then, we've got the lower torso. This is just 4 pieces. It's very simple. 2 cups for the actual ball joints from above and below, and then you've got the front and back of the lower torso that just sandwich over it. Simple. Everything just pops together, and this is as far as we are so far. We've got legs attached onto those underpants, and the upper body. Again, straightforward, simple, and pretty quick. Cleanup is also easy enough. Actually, at this point I will mention one little aspect about the cleanup. This kit does have a lot of nubs in curves, which is a little more difficult to clean up than a standard flat surface, which means your nipper can't actually nip that out per se, and you may have to go in with a file or a blade to clean that little section out. Next up in here, we've got the arms, which are probably the most intricate part of the actual build. So the shoulders have 5 parts in total, which includes a moving shoulder joint, as well as shoulder armor joints. You then build the elbow joint, build the 2 upper sections of the upper arm onto the elbow joint. Front and back armor does sandwich onto this to hide the seams, and this is the part that does require a little bit of plastic cement. It continues on just like the legs. That's 2 sections for the forearm. We've got a bit of elbow armor, which I do recommend cementing on. You build a wrist for the hand, and then you just start to assemble everything together. We've got a shoulder joint, which attaches into the main arm, a shoulder armor that attaches onto the moving joint on the shoulder, and finally we do attach on the hand onto that wrist joint that we built. Now we mentioned there is multiple hands in here, and these are all pre-posed, pre-built, and pre-painted, and all you have to do is cut them off to attach them on. They pop on simply, and this is a bigger model kit than I actually expected it to be. Pretty nice so far. So funnily enough, next up is the head, and this is what the manual tells you to build first. Again, I like to pop the head on last because I feel it gives the action figure model kit life. It's a weird thing, I know, definitely. Anyway, you do build the internal part of the head with a little bit of armor, a little joint which attaches into the neck, attaches up into that, and then you get the pre-painted head section, which does have perfectly painted, pristine, red, awesome berserker eyes. Next up, you attach a little section on below. This is the inside of the mouth, and then a little bit of head armor that locks the whole head together. Next up, we do have an articulated jaw in here. This holds on via pressure, so you just hook it in one side and then hook it in the other. It holds on nicely, doesn't hang loose, and is absolutely perfect. Next up then, we've got the neck. This is 4 pieces in total. 2 of them are to do with the joints. One of them moves, the other one doesn't. And then you just close the neck together with 2 exterior sections like so. The final actual assembly to this then is you pop a big bit of neck armor onto the back and then affix the head via a ball joint onto that neck joint. And I will mention this is great head, neck, and jaw articulation. Actually, the overall this is the articulation. Skip ahead to the actual part in future. This can pose up a storm. It's amazing. But yeah, there we go. That is essentially the Guts Berserker Armor finished. All that's left is a cape, and that is quite simple. So the actual cape in here is made out of cloth, which does have wire sections inside of it, which makes it fully posable. It poses up really well. Again, just skipping forward to the future a little bit so you can see what it looks like in a little bit of a pose. This is cool. For example, you may be tossing up between this and the Figma figure that has a pre-posed cape you can't do anything with. So it's something that does definitely set it apart from that. Anyway, you pop this onto the plastic outer section just like so, and it sandwiches from below with a little piece that holds it in position. Then this just locks down over the top of the torso absolutely perfectly, so this cloth cape will not be slipping out or going AWOL on you. Overall, this is a complete, and it is phenomenal. All that's left now is the accessories. So if you need to take up the sword in order to shield a small wound in your heart sustained in a far-off time beyond remembrance, this is the kit for you because it comes with such a sword. The Dragon Slayer in here builds up very, very nicely. This has a lot of pre-painted aspects, including the blade and the handle right here. The handle builds up nicely. You've got the actual handle shaft itself, the little flippy bit of a bow at the bottom, as well as the pommel on the very, very bottom, which attaches on like so. Then you've got this little bit you slide that all into. The blade is made out of 3 pieces, a fully pre-painted brushed aluminium looking blade, and then the 2 kind of hammered iron looking sections that attach on either side. These are all held in position then when you attach the handle section on, and this looks absolutely incredible. This is very, very clean and very, very nice. Last up, this kit does actually include an action base or a stand for using with it, which is very, very nice. You do have 2 options in here. The first is to make this little kind of short stand in black. This is for that iconic crouching berserker armor pose. You do have a full arm in here, should I say 2. You can build the arm as either a long version or a short version for standing and I guess possibly jumping poses. Doesn't feel like it would be that strong for holding jumping poses, but it'll definitely hold it standing up absolutely perfectly. And there it is. That is the build. So as this kit right here isn't actually like a Gundam kit or the usual regular content, I'm not going to do a full review video of this. So for those of you who do actually want to know what the, well, kit is like, here's a, well, kind of short mini review, broken down a little bit faster than usual. So when it does come to the aesthetics on the Plamatea Guts Berserker Armor version, I am floored. I thought it would be nice, but I didn't think it would be this nice. Out of box, it's almost absolute perfection. We do have 2 shades of plastic on here, that being the actual kind of nice metallic sort of look to the armor, and a little bit of a more regular black to the joints as well as the mantle section around its neck that is attaching on the cape. Overall, every aspect and facet of this is perfect. It looks beautiful, and even though I did mention there are some kind of down points like the seams up the back of the legs, there are some seams in the armor as well. The seams in the armor are absolutely indistinguishable or noticeable from a distance, and the ones in the legs you won't really be seeing because you won't be looking at the back without the cape in the way, and the ones that would have been in the front are mainly covered by the armor plates besides the ones in the knees. So overall it does look phenomenal. Their pre-release pictures were somewhat dry brushed in a little bit of a kind of gunmetal kind of color, so that is something you could do if you did want to bring out the armor in a little bit more of a metallic or damaged kind of look. The actual use of a cloth cape in here is phenomenal for posing this. It poses up perfectly, the tatters in it look amazing, and from every angle you can always make it just look right. It is absolutely impressive overall when it does come to the aesthetics. Now, one of your biggest questions, and my biggest question was, how does it rack up against the other offering by Good Smile Company Max Factory, which would be the Figma Guts. Now I have the classic old one, which would have came out in like 2012 or 13. There it is side by side. So as you can see, the model kit is that bit bigger. I would also say the proportions are a little more sleek and bandy looking, the kind of way you'd like to see with the Berserker and its kind of over the top athletic flipping around the place glory. So I do feel it does kind of represent Guts in the Berserker armor in a bestial better kind of way than the Figma, but of course the Figma is finished in color and does outdo it in some regards, mainly from being finished. But if you painted this kit up, I think it could look that much better. When it does come to the accessories in here is everything that is included with the Plamatea Guts. We do have the full Dragon Slayer, which looks phenomenal. We've got an included stand with a bunch of different options for attaching guts onto it, and we do have multiple hands in here, which is 6 alternate hands, not including the 2 attached, so it does mean you do have 8. Finally, there is 2 spare joints, which I think is pretty cool. One for the shoulder armor attachment, as well as a spare wrist joint in case you have a bit of an issue. Attaching the Dragon Slayer on is super easy. You just pop off the pommel section, it slides into the hand, which is a little bit on the rubbery sort of action figure kind of way, so it grips onto it nicely and it's good and strong. All the joints are nice and ABS-ish, so it means it has no issue holding up that absolute lump of iron. Finally, when it does come to the accessories, there is one kind of unique thing in here, which is this. So these are detail up parts. They're basically like rivets on metal. These are just on the corners of the included runners or sprues in here, and you can just cut them out and use them as you will. There's no indication of how, but you've just got some rivety armor bits if you want to use rivety armor bits. Lastly, when it does come to the articulation on here, this is where I am super blown away. The build is rock solid. The only issue I have is the shoulders like to pop off a lot, which are a bit of a pain in the ass. But besides that, it is rock solid and it can pull off my test pose with flying colors. And that flying color is black and gunmetal. It looks incredible. It's so nice to pose and it is rock solid. Very, very nice. As for going through the actual range of motion on everything, up at the head we have fluid, massive range of movement all over the place. Up and down is absolutely perfection. Side to side is perfection too. And there's nice tweaks to actually angling the head as well. Also, not to forget, we do have a fully opening mouth on this as well, which is a cool little addition as well. Moving down to the torso, and we've an ab crunch befitting the Berserker armor. It can move it really far forward and really far back. Again, good and strong. We've got a side-to-side crunch as well, so overall, the articulation here is phenomenal. When you're moving over to the arms, then the shoulders, we do have some movement in that little plate that is in the torso, moving them forward and back. Nice outward, upward movement of the arm up and down. You can move the shoulder to get a little bit more, but that gets a little bit funky. And we do have the full rotation around just like so. But yeah, speaking of the funky, the shoulder is on a tiny little ball joint that doesn't really have enough pressure to really hold it. So when you're trying to move it up and out of the way, it tends to pop instead of move, so usually you're going to have to take that off and move the joint, then pop the shoulder back on to get the full range of motion upwards. The only real down point, definitely, to the kit. Next up, we have full rotation at the upper bicep swivel. When it comes to the elbow bend, it's pretty good. Not like ridiculously phenomenal, but it is all you will ever need. Moving down then to the hips, and the kicks to the front are great. The kicks out to the back are a little bit limited, but that's human anatomy for you, all right. On top of that then, we do have a nice dropping mechanism inside the hip, as well as a ball joint between the upper leg and the hip joint, which gives you some nice curvy movement as well. There is a little bit of rotation in there as well. When it comes to the knee bend, this definitely destroys the elbow bend because it can really bend up. Max Factory definitely made sure to get in that nice crouch squat that we love from the Berserker armor. So it does have a recess there for the calf to move up into, and it works so fluidly and perfectly. Down to the ankles then, and all you could ever want is here. They bend upwards like so, the toe bend upwards, and they bend all the way down with a little bit of a downwards toe bend too, with perfect side to side. Again, here is the example of this in the usual test pose, and it dominates it entirely. Solid, smooth, and looks beautiful in every pose. Only down point is the pop-off shoulders. So yeah, that right there is it for the review of the Plamatea Guts Berserker Armor. I did not expect this to be this good. I actually bought it just as a kind of kit I wanted to build myself, but it just seemed so good that I had to make a video about it. If you're thinking about grabbing this model kit style figure, or should I say figure style model kit, I say go for it definitely. It really encapsulates the Berserker armor guts entirely. It does everything you want it to do, it does it in style, it looks fantastic out of box, and it is something you can detail up yourself because it is a model kit if you want it to look a little bit more grittier, or to have those nice kind of almost cross-hatched lines through the armor that we would have seen from Miora's fantastic art. Honestly, this is a perfect model kit. If you're thinking of getting it, go for it. If you're tossing up between this and the Figma, there is a lot of similarities between the two, but it really comes down to, do you like building kits or do you not? Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. I got mine here through Buy, link will be down there in the description. And as always, I will see you next time. As always, I cannot finish this video right here without thanking every single one of you guys for watching, and special thanks to those who support me on both the channel memberships as well as on Patreon, including Simon, Scotty Thomas, Abraxas, Orgy59061, Joe, Vanfon, and Caleb Engelhart.